Hey friends, it's Chelsea. I wanted to share a little bit more about this whole mission schooling direction that we've taken in unschooling. So if you don't know about unschooling, that philosophy of homeschool is essentially to be led into exploration and research and learning through your curiosity or the curiosity of your child, the interest, the passion, that sort of thing. So when we started doing things like that with Naomi, she was really showing a lot of interest in foods, and so we really dove into that with her and just provided as many resources from the library. And when we were going grocery shopping, at the time we were shopping with Instacart, which is a grocery delivery service, and so our family would be going out all together, buying people's groceries for them and delivering them. And when we could, we would try different restaurants that were different types of cuisines, just little things like that that we could do with no money to be able to really help her explore that passion more. She was starting to learn how to cook with me. We would watch YouTube videos together. I bought her some cookbooks. Different things like that. Is just fanning that flame. If you've seen the video where I was explaining a little bit of our heart in regard to this mission schooling direction that our homeschool has taken, you would have heard a little bit of the journey from there of how the kids started asking me for books on the torchlighters. And so last year, even though we didn't really have any spending money, if I used a little bit less of our grocery budget each week, I would have a little bit of money at the end of the month that I could spend on some books. And we started going to the library and checking out tons of books to explore ahead of time titles that we were interested in, to see whether or not we would actually want to invest our money into purchasing them. So all of that, plus just me listening to the interests and expressed desires of the kids on a regular basis, was really helping kind of like guide and direct where we were investing in resources. With every little bit, every book, every extra like documentary I found online, or pictures that I could look up on Google, or different things like that, the kids' interest in these heroes of the faith have actually just continued growing. So we decided to really lean into that, and it was really exciting for Luke and I, because that's such a heartbeat of ours, is the mission field. That's sharing your faith. It's going to the unreached. It's going to people of different faiths. It's going to people who don't speak the same language as you, people who don't eat the same foods as you, people who don't live in the same country as you, but also people who are very much the same as you in the same demographic. And just getting to share the good news with them. And so the fact that the kids were like loving and wanting more of the stories of people who have done that so sacrificially and so faithfully over the years, it was just awesome for us. Just a no-brainer, to pour into that. So, but as we've been doing that, it's also just led naturally into a deeper dive of geography, of Bible-less peoples, the persecuted church, the martyrs in church history, and just sort of like a timeline of church history in general, as well as like what missions looks like today, and missionaries who may not really have that much of a name, but some of them are our friends. Like, we have personal ties all around the world. We've had personal invitations all around the world to come and share about Jesus. So in order to dive more into geography and just kind of like broaden the kids' understanding of the nations, and also to help to get their hearts even more like compassionate towards other peoples. We've been investing more and more resources as we've had the ability to do so into things like KiwiCo crates. They have a whole line called the Atlas crate, which is actually geared more towards kids of like the 6 to like 12-ish range. But I find that the projects are not that difficult with just a little bit of help from me, and Naomi enjoys doing them together. She's such a quality time girl, so having a project to work on together has been really fun. Yeah, so each of those has explored a different country, and I have combined that with one of these country unit studies from Thistles and Biscuits that I've mentioned before, a homeschool small business that has these printable country unit studies. So I'm able to go in from my computer and just print out the pages that I think are relevant for our family, and just use that as extra resource to really like build out this study of a country. And we only get one box per month from KiwiCo, and all the projects are done in like less than 24 hours. The kids are really fast. But there's so much more information in there that you can really like stretch out if there's more ways that you can kind of tie it in. And so part of the idea with building out our home library too has been to have more resources on hand that are specific to different countries, so that we can like draw from those within our own home. The library is obviously a great resource with that, and then YouTube videos have been really helpful as well to be able to just like explore more. Naomi usually asks for she wants to see what the people look like, she wants to see what their homes look like, and she wants to see the kind of foods that they're eating. And then if I can find coloring pages on all of those things, that is a huge bonus to her. So I have been supporting Teachers Pay Teachers as well as Thistles and Biscuits. And I also have found some cool resources on Etsy. I've got they're actually 3-part Montessori style cards, but I just printed some out as flashcards of different traditional dishes that you're supposed to kind of like memorize and group into the different continents around the world. And so that's kind of a fun one. It's very visual and just pretty. So anyways, anytime that I can make it interactive like that too. They love projects, they love recipes. Gather Round has a lot of printable unit studies on continents and countries as well, but they pour a lot more like specific academics into those unit studies, so like specific phonics and different like anatomy projects and things like that. That's just barely scraping the surface. Okay, I've never done a full one of theirs. I just know that it's a little more academically rigorous than what we're doing in our homeschool, and so I know the kids would not be so interested in that, and so I just keep it to really like pouring into what they're interested in. But with that, I've gotten one of the printable cookbooks from Gather Round to be able to print off recipes based on the countries that we're getting. And then I decided to also try out the subscription box called Little Passports. They have a line called the World Edition. And so that one also you get one country unit per month. And we're really enjoying that one too. That one's definitely better suited to an older age range. But the reason why I'm sticking with it and continuing to get it after trying it out is that it comes with a book that's specifically a story written in that country. And having gotten the first one and reading it through, we're comfortable with reading these books, this series, to our kids. It's not a faith-based mission mindset approach at all. But so far there hasn't been like any sort of like agenda. It's just like a little adventure story of this boy and girl traveling to different countries. So anyways, and then there's like the first one that we got had a project in it, and then the second one had what they call a souvenir. In this case it was sushi shaped erasers. We're getting both of them as of now because if we have all kind of spent our energies on the country that the KiwiCo crate has introduced us to and we're ready for something else, it's nice to have the option of the little passports one coming too. There is a little bit of overlap because some of the countries that Little Passports explores, KiwiCo also does. And you do know the order that the Little Passports countries are coming in, but you don't know the order that the KiwiCo ones are coming in. And so, for example, we've already gotten, I think, 6 KiwiCo boxes, and we just got our second Little Passports box. And it was Japan, and we had already covered Japan months ago in KiwiCo. But the kids were actually really excited about that, to kind of like go back to it. So that's fun. And then I've shared a little bit about the different biographies and series, book series that we have. Tons of read aloud material to be able to like build out this passion for the nations. And yeah, so specifically though, we're really wanting to like keep a focus on the persecuted church, Bible as peoples, and then using those for being able to fuel more of an interest in studying languages, which the kids are not interested in right now. But I'm just putting out these options for them of like exploring languages, and we'll see if that develops into like a full-fledged desire to study different languages. And then I still need to share the stuff that the kids watch. But one of the things is this docu-series called Travel the Road, which is about 2 single men missionaries who just dedicated their lives to missions. There's a homeschool curriculum called Sunlight, and when I was younger we used that one 2 different years, I think, maybe more than that, but I don't really remember. All I know is that it was my favorite homeschool curriculum of all the ones that we tried, and that was because it was literature based. So they used tons of literature in order to teach not just like reading and language arts, but also history, tons of historical fiction. And I know that I retained more of my understanding of history through reading those books than from any of the history textbooks that we used in other curriculums. And so keeping our homeschooling very literature based has been something that I've known that I wanted to do even before we got started. So building out our homeschool library has been really important to me, and we were recently able to really dive into that and get some bookshelves and get them stocked up. And we're not done buying books. This is just the beginning, but it's a really great start. And what I focused on when we were purchasing the books that we did was all the research I've done over this past year looking for books that the kids are requesting on different people, and just that whole passion with getting more books on the Torchlighters. I've been building out these wish lists on different websites that I found of book series and individual books and different resources that I knew that I would want to get eventually. And so when it came time and I knew that we were supposed to take the plunge and invest in some resources, we decided to get 6 years worth. And it's kind of a loose 6 years, because what I ended up doing was really getting anything that is recommended for the age or the reading level of a child, anywhere up to 12-ish years. What I figured with that is that that's about the reading level that the kids are really absorbing right now when I'm doing read alouds. And so I'll use those as read alouds until they're able to read independently. And then, assuming that the kiddos end up being as much of a reader as their mom and having an advanced reading level, I didn't want to just have like little kid and picture books available, as much as I really like picture books, and I think that they're really enriching resources for any age. And there are things that I have learned just from reading picture books that I missed completely in textbooks growing up. So I wanted to have books available that would be a challenging read, and that it would feel like something that they could really sink their teeth into. So we've got gobs of books like that now, and I love that. It's really special to be able to get your hands on resources like that, and just have them available to your kids to pull from. So with that, I actually wanted to give you kind of an informal little tour here of some of the resources that we have. I've talked about these a little bit before.